Welcome to the Jones Journal Coaches Corner. We've got a great show for you tonight here from the Jones Assembly of God. We'd like to thank JAG for letting us use their space here tonight. Tonight we've got a good show. We've got Derrick Smith interviewing Coach Dorrell to talk about the big game against Millwood on Friday. And in the student section, we have Jake Lanier interviewing Kameron Sweat.
Hi, this is Jones Journal. I'm Derrick Smith. I'm here today with Coach Ted Dorrell. Ted, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Derrick?
Good. So I want to start out talking about last week, big win last week, and just kind of tell us your thoughts on how everything went with the offense last week.
Well, first of all, Kellyville was a tough opponent when we watched them on film. We knew that they were the number one offense in the state, and so we knew that we needed to put points on the board. Very proud of our kids' effort. Very proud of our coaches, the game plan we came up with. And from the get-go of the game, our kids went out and executed our game plan to precision. We scored a touchdown on all of our drives in the opening half. The ball was spread around. Carson did a great job of handling the offense. The guys up front did a great job of blocking for us. Xavier ran for over 100 yards last weekend. Elijah had a great game, and we spread the ball from hash to hash and down the field. When you're a spread offense like what we are, that's all you can ask. And so very proud of how our kids went out and executed on offense. And then, as an offensive coach, you're only as good as our defense is as well. And to hold a team that had been getting 60 points a game to 8 points like they did, that helps us. Right. And so the fact that our defense went out and played the way that it did, very proud of those guys as well. And it was a total team effort. Our special teams were on point that night, and so I like the way we're heading. When you're sitting there at week 7 and it's starting to come together and you're getting things rolling the way you want, you're proud of your football team, you're proud of your kids.
Yeah, me and Coach Martin talked about that a little bit last week. The young guys kind of developing, and then all 3 phases of the game were starting to come together and feed off each other. Talk a little bit about your young guys, your offensive line, and also your running back Xavier did really well, and they're all developing as the year's progressing. Talk a little bit about how the offensive line and the running backs have really started to come together.
Well, coming off of last season, we thought we were going to have a very veteran and seasoned O-line, but then we had some injuries and things like that happen. We haven't even started the same offensive line yet. The kids have either different kids plug and play in a different position or whatever the case may be. Coach Witt does an outstanding job of getting those kids ready, but even more than that, those kids do a great job of getting themselves ready. Right. They know how to play anywhere from left tackle to right tackle. They know their assignments. Some of these kids hadn't even played football before, and they're doing a great job of learning on the go, showing improvement every week. And from the looks of it, we're hoping to go play this is just the halfway point. So the sky's the limit for those guys. So we're real proud of how they're getting their stuff put together. And as far as Xavier's concerned, last week he had the type of game that I knew he could have. He's got to be here since he was in 7th grade. I've watched him grow up and see the type of explosion that he has, what he likes and size he makes up in, with just being at great vision. He has great vision of the field, and I enjoy watching him. You can't see him behind the offensive line, so it's tough on the defense. And he's healthy right now, and he went over 100 yards, and we're real excited about where he can head the next few weeks.
Yeah, so I know you coach receivers and inside receivers and running backs, but when I was there, you were an offensive line coach.
Yeah.
But you've taken a little bit of a journey to get back to Jones. Talk a little bit about what you learned going to being a head coach elsewhere, and then coming back, and kind of what brought you back and brought everything back together.
All right. Well, first of all, enjoyed coaching you when I was here last time. Before I coached O-line when I was here. I've coached football for about 26 years now. And this is a fun staff to be on because I'm working with a guy that I played high school football with in Coach Martin. Mm-hmm. I'm working with a guy that I was on his staff in Coach Wareheim. And there's all kinds of special relationships that we've got on this staff. But I had been out at Choctaw, came out here and worked for Coach Martin. He took the head job and coached O-line and was offensive coordinator. And I loved what we did. But I still had a desire to go be a head coach again. And so I did take a job over at Little Axe. Went there for 4 years. Coached O-line and was the head coach. And then as my kids got to where they were going to be in middle school, I wanted them to have a lot of the same experience that I had. I'm a Jones alum. I love this place. My heart's here in this town. And I think I've had a special relationship with Coach Martin. We've grown up together. I've got nothing but respect for him. And I talked with him, and he gave me the opportunity to come back. And but we had an O-line coach, a really good one. And so why rock the boat there? So I've actually coached quarterback some years, running back some years, receivers some years, and been the offensive coordinator. And it's just whatever. If you like football and you got a passion for football, you're going to be able to coach it. And so that's how that's happening. And I've been back here. This is my 6th year back, and we've had a lot of successes, and that due to having a great head coach and having great assistants that work with us, but having awesome kids too. Yourself included. Yourself included. We have great kids here at Jones that are eager to get coached. It's not like that everywhere. I am somebody that's been some other places, and not all kids will accept the coaching like they do here. So I'm proud of our kids for that.
Yeah, and speaking of your kids, we'll go off path a little bit. Congratulations to your daughter. I saw she was recognized with VIPE and the things she's doing. And so that was awesome to see with her. And then with your son, coaching him, talk a little bit about, because he is a receiver, so talk a little bit about how it's been to see him develop, because he's turned into a really, really good player, and see how far he's come, and to see him in a Jones uniform, what that means to you.
But this is definitely a family affair.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to have 2 wonderful kids. My wife's done a great job in making them be good kids. I'm very proud of her for that. But when I came back here, like I said, it was a family type decision. And my kids came here. My son did in 8th grade. My daughter came in 9th grade. And of course, she's been a manager for us every year and participate. I get to coach her in track, and it's my daughter. So, of course, we're really close. I've got to coach Trey now for the 4 years he's been in high school, and he was on the other side of the ball with Coach Martin for the first 3 years. Started at D-back for us for a couple of years, and this year we needed him on offense, and Coach Martin's allowed him to come over there. He plays outside receiver for the most part, though, so he doesn't have to listen to Dad as much. But I'm really thankful for Coach Reed's his coaching that he's got him into. He's had a great year. It's fun to watch a kid go out and have successes. Luckily, he was born with a different body type than Dad and a lot more ability, so it's neat to watch him do things that I never could do, things like that. But proud of both my kids. I'm so glad they're here at this place. This is home,
right? And
it's neat to be at home with your kids.
Yeah, they're both doing a great job. So moving on from that, the ruling just came down from the OSSA about the playoffs, and basically, for people that don't know, they're going to allow everyone in the playoffs that wants to play, basically.
Yes.
And so, like we talked about, the playoff bracket for 2A looks like a March Madness bracket. Talk a little bit about your experience as a head coach, being on either side of those records, and how you and the team are embracing this situation and just kind of controlling what you can.
Well, I'll start with this. I was the head coach at Choctaw and Little Axe, so usually we're on the bottom side of those things. I'll just be real honest with you here. But great places, but we didn't have great teams most years. All right, but as far as this goes, it's a very interesting thing to think about, because football's always been unique in the fact that the playoffs really start when you start district play, because if you don't qualify by being in the top 4, then your season's over with. So this is definitely different for us football coaches to wrap our head around and figure out what all this means. And there's still a lot of things to play out that we don't understand, like who's going to want to play, who's not going to want to play, and we won't find some of those things out, I don't think, until right before it happens. But that extra week in 2A with 6 weeks of playoffs possible, that's definitely different. It's always been a lot with 5. Back in 2016 when we won it, we only had 4. Right. Well, actually we had 5. The the first round anyway. But and I worry about this first round here because I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know how many buys there'll be and things like that. 4 versus 5 seeds are going to be probably really good games and fun to watch. But I don't know how many 8s will show up for a 1 and 7s for 2s and those types of things. So still interested to see how it works out. It's exciting though because I understand some people have probably been shortened games so much that maybe they haven't had the opportunity to play to the best. Maybe they just played the top half of their district schedule and didn't get an opportunity to play the bottom half. So they maybe could have beat those teams and it just worked out bad for them. So we'll all wait and see. Yeah. It's a wait and see type thing.
Well, you mentioned the 16-week deal. As a coach and a father, how do you and the other coaches kind of navigate? Because your guys go through a lot of plays and they take a lot of hits, a lot of practice. I mean, and a 16 game schedule for you guys that are one of the only teams that are actually playing every week, which it's kind of a catch-22, right? I mean,
always
you're getting to play, but it's also a lot of load management on those guys.
It's always a concern because we do throw the ball so much. Our kids in practice run miles a day in practice, just covering. We're a vertical offense, and so our kids, when they're running routes, we're running 60 yards down the field, play after play after play. So that's wear and tear on your body, and just the contact. This is a physical game, and when you go out and play, we Coach Martin put a tough step on the schedule this year. We didn't schedule the weaker sisters that we've played in our district play either. I mean, Kellyville was a great football team, and Millwood's going to be a great football team. And so every week we're getting tested. And so the physical nature of it, we're going to have to keep an eye on as this season wears on and be stewards of keeping our kids safe and healthy. But I have nothing but confidence that Coach Martin will do that. And we'll have those kids fine-tuned and ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Martin and the staff has always been great about getting the kids ready and load management and taking care of kids during the week, make sure everybody's taken care of. So I have no doubt that that'll be taken care of on this end. It's just a big question mark for everyone else throughout the state, but something we'll have to wait and see. Something we don't have to wait too long on is Millwood. Every big game, I mean, people throughout the state are talking about it. It's one of the bigger games of the week throughout the state, regardless of classification. Talk a little bit about your preparation for them. They're always a good athletic squad, but last time Jones played them, came out on top. I remember that game pretty well. So
there's a history of great football games between Millwood and Jones. I think the iron sharpens iron, and so it's two great football teams. And over the years, we've met up on the field. There's been a lot of good football played between the two, and this year's not going to be an exception. They're undefeated in district play, just like we are. Their head coach, Coach Franklin, his dad was a long-time basketball coach there and ultra successful, so he knows about winning. He's very good at what he does. Their kids are good. They've got a lot of great skilled kids, and they've got tremendously large offensive line, and our kids, we're going to have to go out and compete.
Right.
But that's what's fun about this, and that's what makes a rivalry. A rivalry is no fun if it's between two teams that are both down in the cellar. This is two great football teams, and I think everybody that's from Jones has a memory of a Jones-Millwood football game, and so we look forward to Friday night and renewing that rivalry, and it's just picking right up where it left off with two good football teams, and winners, not necessarily the district champ yet, but they're definitely in the driver's seat.
Right. Yeah, and this is a little off topic, but I do want to give you some credit because for a long time Millwood dominated the Jones-Millwood rivalry. It wasn't much of a rivalry. Then when you and Coach Martin came along and brought a great weight program along that hadn't existed to that level before, and it started really showing on the field. Talk a little bit about how the off season and the training you guys do puts you that much further ahead and able to compete with teams that maybe they are a little more athletic across the board, maybe faster or whatever, but the work you guys put in kind of evens that playing field.
It never ceases to amaze me how much work our kids are willing to put in, how much time. This last year was a strange year because we're all worried as coaches. What are our kids doing? They're not under our thumb. As you know, we run a very regimented off season. very regimented summer. And so we're all worried about how it's going to work. Hats off to our kids, because when they showed up in June, they were willing to go to work. We stepped it up from 3 days a week to 4 days a week, and we went from an hour and a half to, instead of an hour and a half, to about 2.5 hour practices with those kids, and they went after it.
Yeah.
It's always been a big thing. Our kids, they know when the season's over, there's no days off. There is nobody coming in saying, when's the free day? There's no free day. There's no free days in life. And so our kids have always bought into that. And, we push them hard, but they've seen the results. Mm-hmm. I think if you go through our program and in 4 years, your body's going to change, your mind's going to change, and you're going to leave there with a skill set that through hard work I can change things. And I think that's going to suit you well in life.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I know personally it paid off. I didn't put as much effort as I should have, but it paid off. Even me moving on to the military, it made basic training a breeze because of the stuff you guys did. Lastly, I wanted to ask you. It was from a reader that had emailed me and asked, kind of done their homework. You coached a lot of the big time quarterbacks at Jones. You've called plays for a lot of them with Dax, Michael, and now Carson, among others that were there. But Carson is a special kid and has a special talent. Talk a little bit about your experience coaching him versus maybe anyone else you've coached, and if he's anything like it or if he's a lot different and in a good way.
Well, first of all, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Coach Wareheim coaches the quarterbacks for us, and he has a great relationship with Carson. Mm-hmm. Coach Wareheim is like the quarterback whisperer now. Okay, so he's they're not loud with each other, and they just talk back and forth. But Carson has an unbelievable skill set. Mm-hmm. He's big enough to run over people. He's fast enough to run away from them. Right. He's tall enough to see the whole field. He's got great arm strength, and he's competitive. Mm-hmm. Competitive can overcome a lot of things. So Absolutely. He's competitive, and he's got the physical tools that it takes. And I don't know. I've seen the light come on that kid about a year ago. That I think he decided, he made up his mind that potential can be a dangerous word. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be down the road that somebody says, look at all the potential he has. Right. He's worked his tail off. Mm-hmm. He worked his tail off for us. He worked his tail off in basketball, and now his potential is becoming what he expects of himself. Right. He works hard every day, and he wants to learn the game, and he wants to go compete, and he wants to win. And I think the sky's the limit for him. I hope great things for him. This game's a great game, and no matter what, I know this. When he leaves our program, just like I said a while ago, like every kid does, he's going to have some tools. Absolutely. And he's going to have opportunities, and I think he'll make the most of them. Absolutely. Well, Coach, that about wraps it up. If there's anything that you want to say to the fans or to the viewers about this week, now's your time if you'd like to plug anything. I do want to give a thanks to the Jones Journal. I've got family all across this country, and this right here, y'all are running a great show, and the kids, the people that are doing this, putting it out there to highlight what I think is a great community and a great football team. Thanks to you guys very much. We appreciate you. Absolutely, yeah. Sarah and Matt do a fantastic job and put this all together for everybody. So, it's much appreciated. We appreciate your time and appreciate your thoroughness and all the answers. And good luck this week against Millwood. All right, thank you. For the Jones Journal, I'm Derrick Smith, and this was the Coach's Corner. Thank you.
Welcome back to the student section. My name is Jake Lanier. Today I'm brought to you with Kameron Sweat. Cameron is a safety. He's a junior. He's on the varsity team. And today we're just going to be asking him some questions. So Cameron, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Just whatever.
Been playing football forever now. I have a little brother that just got adopted on Tuesday.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Well, we named him Jeremiah, but his name when he came to us was Armani.
Oh yeah, that's really neat. So in football, what is your biggest strength that you have? What's your biggest attribute?
Probably coverage, like deep coverage.
Yeah. We could definitely tell that in the last game. You did a really good job out there, by the way. So, is there anything, I guess, coming off of that question, is there anything that you can work on out there, or have you been working on?
Definitely tackling. This week is a big week for us tackling because their quarterback is a runner. That's all he does, runs all over the field.
Well, that sounds like a very important skill to have, just getting able to tackle a quarterback if he starts running. So before games, do you have any pregame rituals that you have or anything like that?
Yeah, so after we got from first wave and then we got second wave, I come back in, listen to music, just do whatever I usually do. Listen to music, get taped, all that good stuff.
You listen to music when you're in there?
Yes, sir.
So what's your favorite pump-up song or songs?
Probably I Know by Polo G.
Yeah? We have a playlist or something like that?
I do.
Oh, yeah, is it Apple Music?
Yes, it is.
I'll have to go check it out then. Well, do you have like a favorite sports hero you look up to?
My favorite is Cam Chancellor.
He's on the Seattle Seahawks, isn't he?
Yes, he used to play.
He's really good. So, last game, you did a really good job, like I said. You had a 99-yard touchdown. How was that? How was that afterwards?
I don't know, but as soon as I caught it, I was in awe.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to score because all the blockers that were in front of me, all the credit goes to them for sure.
All the credit goes to the blockers?
Yes, because that's the main part, because if I didn't have blockers, I wouldn't have scored.
Well, look how humble you are, just giving all the credit away. So, any special practice for something like a play like that, or anything you kind of have to run, make sure you have?
This week for conditioning, we did a lot of sideline to sideline tackling. So like one of our coaches, they would run sideline, and we had to stay in front of them, make sure they couldn't go away because they know that their quarterback is a really good runner and he can run to the sideline, and once he gets to the sideline, he can just cut it up and go score. Yeah,
so it's really about knowing your opponent that game and really making sure you know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So what does a usual practice look like for you?
We go in there, put our pads on, go outside. At the beginning, we go stretch, and then we usually go 7-on-7, and then we go team. So our starting offense will go against our defense, and then our starting defense will go against the scout offense, and then we go condition and meet at the end. Yeah.
You have a favorite part of practice?
Probably either when we go team or 7-on-7.
Definitely not conditioning though?
No.
Oh man. Well, what do you have an interesting fact you'd like to tell anybody or anything like that?
Like I said earlier, we just adopted a little brother, and then we have 2 other adopted ones. They're both girls, and then we're about to adopt another one.
Oh yeah?
Another boy.
That's gonna be a lot of fun,
kids.
ain't it? Alrighty. Well, do you have a message to all the fans that's gonna be watching you and supporting you?
Be out there Friday. Big game for us. We gotta win it for the district. Both teams are undefeated in our district right now, and if we win, we're at the top of our district.
Alrighty. Well, this has been the student section with Jake Lanier and Kameron Sweat, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Jones Journal Coaches Corner. Once again, we'd like to thank Jones Assembly of God for letting us use their space here tonight. Be sure to tune in at 7 o'clock on October 23rd to watch the Jones Longhorns take on the Millwood Falcons in a battle for Class 2A2 supremacy.